family lives under a bridge, lost everything they owned. Now empty cardboard boxes are what they're calling home. This is where Jesus would go. There's a white-haired widowed lady laying in intensive care. No one goes to see her when she needs some love and prayer. This is where Jesus would go. This is where Jesus would go.
And as I stood on that sidewalk and I smoked a cigarette, a man came up, at least I think it was a man, it may have even been a woman, but I'm pretty sure it was a man. Came up and quickly put a piece of paper in my hand and ran away. And I can't say he ran as if he was terrified of me, but he didn't stay and he didn't linger, and I don't even remember us making eye contact. He was rather nervous. And I opened that piece of paper, and on it was written in pencil, and I still have this note, a torn piece of notebook paper that said, "God told me to give you this," and in it was a $20 bill. I went in and I bought a Christmas tree, the $20 one, not the $10 one. No, I bought the $20 one. And my wife and I went home and we cooked some popcorn and we strung it on some thread and we took some aluminum foil and made bows and we took some red ribbon and tied around the bows and we decorated our $20 Christmas tree. That some stranger came up with a handwritten note and a $20 bill and said that his God told him to give us this. It wasn't the excitement of the money. I don't know who that person is. But that moment in time is a treasure forever for me. Because in that moment of time, some stranger saw value in me and my family. Even though that person was acting in obedience to their God, they displayed a sense of value and importance to me and my family. We counted. We had value. We had worth. We were worth something. Maybe not to the rest of the world. Maybe not even to ourselves. But somebody stepped out and displayed love in a tangible way. They weren't a Christian. They were a Christ follower. You see, we lived in an ocean of Christians, and not a single one of them showed that we had worth or value. But somebody, in a point in time, in a moment of time, stepped out and as a Christ follower showed that we had value. We live in a society filled with Christians and a society filled with people who have no value. And yet one Christ follower can transform a life out of a moment in time. History is riddled with Christians who have brought nothing but death and destruction and hate and arrogance and pride and power. Death. History is filled with it. But you see, that's not who we are. We are Christ followers. There was a day when to be called a Christian meant to be a Christ follower. But that day is long gone, and today is not that day. To be a Christian can mean many things today. No, today, you are simply a Christ follower, or you're not. You're a lover of Jesus or you're not. You display that love by obeying him and by doing what he does, what he says to do, what he has written down in a love letter from heaven for us to do. When we are obedient to that, we are a Christ follower. Oh, well, I don't hurt people. I don't kill people. I don't destroy people's lives. I don't commit any of those heinous acts that have been committed throughout history. I'm a good person. You know that waste of society, that trash, those bad people, those people who don't count, the people who do the bad things in society? When's the last time you looked on them and saw value? When's the last time you looked on them and saw worth? When's the last time you looked at the pot-smoking, beer-drinking, motorcycle-riding, violent guy with the hot girl that worked in a bar and saw value in them? When's the last time you looked at the pillhead? The woman that sells herself for drugs? The guy that will rob everybody he knows for drugs, and saw any kind of value in them? Oh, but I see value in them. They have value. They're made in the image of God. They have value. When's the last time you told them? I had a wonderful friend and a teacher of the way of Christ and a pastor of a wonderful family who issued a challenge to young people. You who are in older grades, go up to the younger grades, pick out somebody and ask them how they're doing. And not just once. Every time you see them, say, hey, how are you doing? And in the beginning, they may look at you like you're strange, like you're weird. They may even laugh at you. But set that aside. Go up to them every time you see them and say, hey, how are you doing today? How are things with you? And you will see something happen in their life. You will see them changed because you took time to care. Beloved, listen to this. When's the last time you expressed to someone that they have value, that they have worth, that they are loved, not just by Jesus, but by you? It's easy for me as a parent, or let me rephrase that, it is easier for me as a parent to love my child who is wayward and rebellious in society. But it is harder to love a stranger who piles nothing but hurt upon hurt upon hurt. And yet what does this fabulous love letter from heaven tell us to respond to when someone comes to us as an enemy and piles hurt upon hurt upon hurt upon us? It says, give your enemy a drink when they're thirsty and give them food when they're hungry. It says, clothe them when they're naked. I walked in rebellion to Jesus for most of my life. I had nothing but contempt for his ways and his people and what he stood for. And yet, in his great love and his infinite capacity to love and to see that I had worth and value, he stepped down from his place of glory and intervened in my life. And he said, my son, you have value. You have worth, and I love you. And along his journey down from his place in glory, he took a hold of a couple people in my path who were lovers of Jesus and not just a Christian. And they came up to me and they openly displayed the fact that I had value. When we do not express love, when we do not take people who see themselves with no value and no worth, when we do not speak that value and that worth into their life, not just by words, but by actions, then we are the same as the man who is killing them. We are the same as the man who is destroying them. We are the same as the man who is standing with his foot upon their neck, ready to take their life. Because to not display love, to not model love, to not show love, to not illustrate love, to not exemplify love, to not walk in the most excellent way is to be a reaper of death. Some of the most heinous crimes in history may have been perpetrated by Christians. But not by Christ followers.
There's a broken-hearted father suffered his greatest loss as he watched his only son die on an old rugged cross. This is where Jesus would go. This is where Jesus would go.